Hello, everybody. Josh here, and welcome back to another episode of the Kayfabe Sessions. This is episode 9 of the Kayfabe Sessions. Today, I am joined by one of the most known people in the Ontario independent scene because of his personality and his just outgoing character. Ladies and gentlemen, Dynasty's very own Mikey Truth. How you doing, man?
Respect, appreciate for having me here in Kayfabe Centrals. It's yours truly, the Lionheart, Mikey Truth. Let's get to it. Respect.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me on here. We're gonna jump straight into the questions. That's how we do it over here. Don't want to waste too much of your time. You are obviously billed out of Toronto. You've built a very strong presence as well on the Ontario indie scene, along with Dynasty. Tell me how you first decided you want to become a professional wrestler.
Ooh, like many, when you're watching from a very young age, you always get that itch to like maybe one day this can possibly happen. But as you're growing up in life, life situations, school, work, responsibilities come up. You know what I mean? And it's like you kind of deter from that actual dream. But yeah, from a little kid, none of my grandparents, they were pro wrestling fans. My parents. Hit or miss. My dad would take me a couple pro wrestling shows, WWF shows, because you get like free tickets from his work because he's a mechanic back in the day downtown. So it was very easy. He'd end up running into different powerful faces, and they'd be passing off those comp tickets for the shows that are coming up in the town. So I was very lucky at a young age, being exposed live for pro wrestling, and then also the independence, growing up as a teenager and then going to college, trying to figure out my way to get into the industry. So yeah, it's from childhood injected, watching with the family and then with the friends, and then it just always stuck within myself. And it was just a moment of time. I just knew it was the moment I have some sort of control of my own life, I'd be able to dedicate consistently to pro wrestling.
Yeah. What were the early days of training for you like? Like what coaches, schools helped you develop who you are at the moment?
Well, when I was first starting leaving school, I was interested, like after high school, I was checking out different schools and I found out about Squared Circle or Ralph Fuego. I already knew about that. And then I knew about Battle Arts that was recently just opening at that time, right? So I was just weighing my options and I was like, you know what, let me just go and just jump in full on the deep end and just see what we have out here. Because I was already going to different independent shows like Smash, Demand Lucha, etc. So I was already knowledgeable of the independents, but how do I get in the mix? So one day after the class, we went straight, made that drive out the squared circle, and then I look in the window, place is closed. I don't really can swear, but the place is fucking closed. I'm like, God damn, your dreams are done. Dreams are shattered dreams. Anyways, I end up like a year later or so, still crafting and finding out other options. Obviously, there's school, but they're far out. Don't have the means or the money to get there. Eventually, getting my car and etc. and getting things in order. Battle Arts was in motion, already in motion. I already went to the grand opening where they had a bunch of WWE talents that passed through, and already seen like the growth, the early growth periods, and the first generation of Battle Arts rising stars talents that were training. So that was that itch when I was seeing like Randy Bono and etc. Salsa King, Matt Black. The list goes on to like the first generation of guys, Sway Archer, Derek Smith, guys that I start to meet just going in, stopping at Battle Arts just to work out. And that's originally what it was. Just going there just to keep active and working out. Wasn't really taking pro wrestling serious, but hey, it's there. Get involved. And yeah, seeing free Texas number, free week at Battle Arts. So I text the number from three different phones, three, four different phones. I got like a full month free.
That's how
Checked
you.
in and just went to work, man. And this was about just before the pandemic, right? This is
Yeah.
way before the pandemic, and just built a relationship. I got close to like Anthony Corelli's father and the people that were working the front desk and the people that were there. So they're very open for me just coming out and just experimenting to the point where it's like, you know what, just go, just go, just go. And I'd be just building up that rapport and respect factor with my peers around me. And then they just graciously just let me just take as much advantage I could that free week pass, man. And there was no turning back from there. And then the pandemic hit, everything shut down,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that completely kiboshed all the plans of further going forward. But still having a relationship with a bunch of the guys that were starting out there and the guys that were still working at Battle Arts at the time, we were able to sneak in during the pandemic and the lockdown and still train. And so that's why I kept on top and consistent with my training from the fundamentals that we're learning in the first couple months when I first started before the pandemic. Just stayed consistent with it throughout that whole lockdown and basically like 3 days. I'd be in there from like 6, 7 o'clock. We wouldn't leave till about like 3 in the morning sometimes, right? Doing drills, watching tape, hanging out, just talking about pro wrestling. You know what I mean? So we built like a tight knit group, a bunch of us that were able to get to it and get that work in even during the lockdown. It was a saving grace.
Yeah. So you start training, and over the years, you start to develop Mikey Truth, the actual character, and it's come to be a guy with a little bit of attitude and a guy who's very loud at every show he's at and always brings the energy. How did you land on that persona?
Ah man, like I said, with a background, already somewhat in mixed martial arts. My dad doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and also having a background in acting as an actor for TV and film, doing even stunt work for different shows back in the day. That's what basically got my way, paid my way through college was like my acting background, right? Um, so during those times, I was already active on those WWE Universe games, the WWE 2K games.
Yeah.
I already crafted my creative character. It was already Mikey Truth over these years. I already was part of different group chats and that were creating our own pro wrestling promotions online, whether it was with the Wrestling Revolution 3D game or the Dirty 2K games, etc. Right? As the years progressed, I was always updating and building a character. So I always had the Mikey Truth character and the essence of who this persona was already kind of down packed with like the car creation characteristics I was already creating. It's just now implementing how do I transition that into reality and in real life. So that was just the beginning process, bringing that image from the video game characteristics to real life, but in a more reasonable and digestible way. And just me just already just being energetic and just bouncing off the walls from a kid till now in adulthood. It's just a natural pro wrestling. Turn up that volume. So that's what it was, just turning it up that much more, and then just crafting the character. Who the Lionheart is. He's not also like this leader, ringleader, but also dabble in the cult like mentality if you're going more into like a heelish side of who Mikey Truth is. And that's what I'm trying to develop over the course of years is the different elements that you can see that I can tap in. So you guys are very familiar with the lively, bouncing, energetic, loud Mikey Truth, but there's also different sides of Mikey Truth that I haven't even entertained yet or dive deep in yet that I can't wait to like give a little bit of taste to the pro wrestling scene.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when I was actively wrestling, I was wrestling Sway Archer, and you were at ringside for the start of that match, and you were just yelling at the top of your lungs. And in my head, I was like, "Oh man, is this guy gonna stop?" And then Sway sent you to the back, and I was like, "Okay, he's." I don't have to listen to him for the entire match. Is that something you intentionally try to do when you know you're managing or whether you're wrestling?
Oh yeah, it's just being vocal. I think like just being vocal and just creating that connection with the people where they like it, they find it funny, it's annoying. It just drives more to characterization, and that's a big thing about me. I'm not only just focused on the in-ring aspect of pro wrestling, focus on the selling, focus on my vocals, communicating as best as I possibly can while I'm working in that ring, and creating different elements. Like I said, different tactics to my heel persona, which is changing from like the ringleader, the Lionheart, the leader of the pack type of persona, to even the cultist, the evil leader, to even like the managerial services that I also provide. Trying to become a multi-dimensional player, and it varies from the in ring to outside the ring. I still want to have that vocal. That's the big part of me because no one has that vocal range that I have like that I know of in the seed or
Yeah.
pretty much in this game, right? So I know that's an advantage. I'm not the biggest guy, but the voice makes up for it.
Yeah, a
The
hundred
voice and the
percent.
energy makes up for it. So yeah, that's definitely something that I've implemented to try and take advantage of and use that to set myself apart from everybody else in the game.
Absolutely. I mentioned Dynasty earlier. You tag with Jackson Roy all over, whether it's in Canada or I saw you guys in Vegas as well last year. What made Dynasty click as a tag team? And what makes Dynasty so unique in Ontario wrestling right now?
This is a dope question, man. To be honest, we kicked things off about 3.5. We're going almost 4 years now. When Dynasty originally started, this was like December like 18th. When the Storm was coming, event that was a Rising Stars event that happened. This is when Asylum Nick Andrews was our main coach at Battle Arts Academy. Salute to Asylum Nick Andrews, and Rob, and Slick Smooth. They were the head coaches at the time that really helped develop who we were as fundamental wrestlers and also bringing the characterization and how important character is for us and branding. And that's a big thing for me. I was looking at how we can separate ourselves as a brand, as a unit, but still keep to our own individual goals. And I think that's the biggest thing for us as a group. We not only come collectively, and we have been pushing and trying so hard to enforce this whole like freebird rules where it doesn't matter what combination you get a dynasty, you know you're in for a treat, and you know we're gonna make history and leave a legacy. You know what it is. But yeah, so it came down to it, having that conversation with Jackson, training out with Jackson. When he first came into Ballard's Academy, I already had a relationship with Sway. It was cool with Sway. It was cool with Derek. And Jackson, me and him just kicked off, both having an amateur wrestling background, him having a more educated amateur wrestling background than me, but having that chance to work with someone bigger. And we just kicked it off from there. We had a meeting coming up to one of these shows about pitching ideas. And that was a big thing with Nick Andrew and his training. He's like, you pitch ideas, let's bring it to life. So I had a whole bunch of lists and names of different ideas that I had that I used in the 2K game, and I wanted to bring in reality and pro wrestling. Went down the list, and Dynasty just seemed to fit. I pitched it to Jackson Roy, reach out to him if he was ever interested in tag team or even a faction, but still keeping the dynamic that we can still be our own individuals. Because that's the thing with a lot of teams and factions, they're just known by that faction, or they're just known by that label. You don't really see a lot of individuality anymore with guys in groups. Outside of like when you think of like the Bullet Club, etc., you don't really see a lot of guys that have that individuality for their brand within the faction. So that's something that I want to bring to Dynasty because you don't see that anymore. And I want to bring that element of Bullet Club, NWO feeling and vibe with this group. And one thing after another, we kicked it off with that. We did a couple of shows. Sway came up in the mix. I pitched Sway's name as well. Sway was down for it because we still wanted an element of the history and the essence of what ballads first started in the first generation guys and building that bridge between us because originally that's what it was. It was the new generation versus the old generation, but we want to bridge that gap. So that's where Sway came into play with the experience, more education, and more knowledge about the game. And then Derek was another addition that came into the mix that worked to expand the group and just covering all bases of representation. And I think that's just one of the biggest things for us that separates us, representation. We are coming from so much different diasporas and cultures, and we're representing as a unique form, united for one goal, and that's ultimate success and triumph.
For sure. So, like a few years ago, tag team wrestling in Ontario, it wasn't that popular. Like there was you guys, there was Airstrike, there was Empire, and there was a few other guys, but now it's starting to develop a lot more. You see a lot more tag teams coming out onto the scene in Ontario. So, my question for you is, what kind of chemistry and division dynamics do you see in Ontario tags right now compared to singles?
Oh, I think we're still in a transitional period, to be honest with you. I'm gonna be very brutally honest with you. I still think the pro wrestling scene out here for tag team wrestling needs to expand even more. I think we need to take more advantage of the teams and the factions that are in the scene and mix the different experience levels from the veterans all the way down to the guys that are just starting out. When you look at some of the teams that are coming out now, shout out to Monopo. They're coming out representing New Wave and Battle Arts Academy with a combination of Teo, Kuya Cole, Take It Easy, Joey. you have a new faction that's in the mix, that's ready to go and ready to rock. You got Generation Now, who's the young cats that are coming up and building their name, right? And then you have so much tag teams that are in Montreal, that are in Ottawa. We want to bring that combination, that crossover here in Ontario. There's so much talented teams. Running it back with Fresh Year, that's another one that definitely I hold near and dear to our heart, because these are the matches that set the standard and set a precedent for the tag team division in Ontario. And we're representing Canada at the end of the day. We don't really take it in real time, but when you think back about it in retrospect, you realize how important the work that all of us are doing in the Ontario scene to building up the tag team division. And like you're seeing the trios division that was built up with PWE, they're eventually closing down the last batch. We're the first six-man tag team champions for PWE. So even that little like achievement for us was showing that we're on the right path and like we're doing something special for the scene out here. And you're seeing that with PWO, they got their trios titles. You're seeing top tier, they got their tag team divisions. First champions for NCG, tag team champions for NCG, myself and Jackson. So each step that we're taking is trying to push and usher the importance of what tag team pro wrestling is for not only the scene out here, but the Canada as a country. Shout out to Sinner and Saint. They're leading the path for Canadian tag team pro wrestling currently right now with the work that they're doing. So there's so much teams, man. There's so much tag teams, and the tag team scene is healthy, and it's going to be kicking for the next 5, 10 years because of the amount of talent that are coming out throughout the scene right now. I just think now it's a time that promotions, bookers, they really sink their teeth in and take advantage of the talent that is blossoming right now before everybody starts to fly out and start to like fly away from the nest, and they're not as readily available here in Canada because guys are doing tours in Japan, Mexico, in the States. They're exploring and traveling around the world. And that was the biggest thing for us with our recent travels. We're realizing how effective tag team wrestling is today. So I know it's a long-winded spin. I go into these tangents, but man, it's near and dear to how important I see the potential of the future of just Ontario pro wrestling and wrestling in Canada in general. We're on a huge transitional period of like a new golden age for us.
100%. Going back to your work with Jackson and tag team wrestling, how do you guys manage planning roles, whether it's mic work, hot tags, leadership roles? How do you guys go about planning that each show? Because you guys go to many different promotions over the course of many different months. So how do you guys plan that every single show?
It is subjective. Really, it comes down to what the promotion wants from us as a collective and as a brand, as a tag team, what we are adding to their show, what they need from us to help elevate their show, and from there, that's when we make that decision. Whether we're working heel or face, we try to divide and equalize our ring time with each other, given the situation that we have. So we're both equally showcasing our skill set. So it's a very easy transition for us to even get booked for more singles work as well. So you're seeing a nice balance between our Musa and the unique, unorthodox blend that we bring together when we're a team together. So yeah, it's very subjective, man. Like every promotion is different, every match scenario can be different, but the core thing about it is that we try to come up to making sure the match structure overall makes sense, our actions and our intentions make sense, and at the same time, um, we are also highlighting our moveset, our dethroner, whether I'm hitting that spiral tap, whether Jackson's hitting that spear running through you, or he's soaring through the air with that back elbow. We try to create different memorable moments and emotional connections in our match. And those, I think, are the more consistent plays that we have, how to create emotional moments and moments to remember so the people walk away from this match knowing that, yo, I gotta follow the Dynasty journey.
Absolutely. So, as someone who's been very active in the Ontario independent scene over the years, what are some of the changes or drastic changes you've seen over the years on Ontario independent wrestling?
I think there's a lot more work to be done. Um, to be honest with you, there's a lot more work to be done, but it's very beautiful to see diversity, just straight up. You're seeing so much talent from so much different cultures and backgrounds, sizes and representation. You're seeing a whole new generation of women coming up into the scene, which is beautiful to see. And yeah, like I think that is one of the biggest things that I'm very happy to see that's happening within the Ontario and just the Canadian wrestling scene is that we're seeing way more representation, way more diversity, but you want to implement that more in your match cards, in the shows, in each promotion. You know what I mean? And like we're starting to see more unique match types. We're starting to see more matches that you've never seen before. I think that's another gear that we need to start to shift into. Start to see some of these first ever clashes and confrontations. Start to develop more serious programs and feuds. You know what I mean? That people can really dig their teeth into. We're seeing more promo work. We're seeing more content. That's something that you never really would see even like 3 years ago. Guys really taking the time to develop, cut, and shoot promos, not just shooting it in their cars or just shooting it, in front of a dirty camera, etc. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people are really investing into their careers now and taking it to a more professional and cinematic level, as far as their presentation and brands. And yeah, I think those are the key elements. But I do think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And just being frankly straight up and honest with you, there's a lot more development I think that the scene needs to do as far as like communicating, making sure that shows aren't falling always on the same time or constantly having these political plays, you know what I mean, to try and push certain promotions or talent out the way. Let's all work together. Let's all build together. And seeing traveling outside the country and seeing how different pro wrestling communities work together, I come back home and I'm like, yeah, these are the things that we need to work on to elevate our nation, our country, um, to be seen by these big TV companies, and to have guys actually being signed consistently by these TV companies. I think we do a lot of things where we shoot ourselves in the foot, and I think in this transition of new golden age that we're having, it's a time that we can learn from our mistakes that has kept Canada like kind of like in the backswing to now putting Canada and pro wrestling in Canada to the front swing. Because you're seeing all these big promotions come out here. They do their big shows. They have their big weekends. But what about our big independent weekends to follow up and capitalize on the big shows when WWE comes to town, AEW comes to town, etc. Right?
Yeah, that leads me nicely into the next question I have for you. What is, from your perspective, some of the biggest challenges wrestlers face trying to make a name for themselves in Ontario?
Ooh, you're good. You're good. I'm loving it, man. Um, yeah, definitely. I feel like trust and acceptance. That's being brutally honest.
Yeah,
There's the changing of the guard. There's a new generation coming up, and then there's an older generation that I feel is still putting this new generation through the rigors whether they don't trust some of these talents in the ring or they don't trust to give the talent the ball. I think having a more trust factor to blending our veterans with the new generation and having more consistent crossover matches between the two not only helps elevate the new generation of us coming up, getting better in ring, but also expands and shows so much diversity within our scene. Um, and I think that's like one of the key elements that kind of like drag us down. Like stay away from all these political polls to try and say that this promotion is better than this promotion or this promotion should put this promotion on. No, we can all work together. We can all make money together. We all can make historic, legendary moments for each promotion that's active in the scene right now. Yeah, I think like being able to have a sustainable community where talent coming out, this new generation of talent coming up, can fill out dates between X, Y, and Z promotions with no issues. Whatever issues X, Y, and Z promotions have or promoters have with each other, you're not putting the talent in between it. You know what I mean? Where talent have to choose between working this promotion or that promotion. There's a direct path where you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you as a talent can create within your own and build your own success. without any worries of stepping on any toes or you have to walk on any eggshells. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the big things with us at Dynasty. We've trained everywhere. We've learned from anybody that has more experience than us. We've been very open minded and taking gems from so much different people in this industry and being able to move. We've been pivoting and moving all over the place to learn and get better in our skill set. And I think being more accepted of that within our own scene is a key element for everybody striving in everybody's name, being able to travel and go out there.
Absolutely. So every day the indie scene gets more crowded with more wrestlers coming in. How do you manage to market yourself? I know you've mentioned social media. Is that your strategy for marketing yourself in a crowded independent scene?
Oh, definitely. I think without the internet, we Dynasty would not be where we are today. To be honest with you, because we are not your stereotypical pro wrestlers. We're not your stereotypical faction. You know what I mean? We don't fit the image of the pro wrestling like ideology, even like the old school ideology of what a pro wrestler is. We don't fit that, and we've overcome so many odds, not getting the favoritism support, so to speak, or being backed by any major machine. So we knew for us to stand out, it's not only in our skill set, our skill set, but also how we're going to brand and market and separate ourselves as a group. And it came down to branding. Thank God for Sway Archer, who is an amazing gear maker. He came very clutch in the fourth, creating the gear that's going to represent and our image as far as our in-ring gear for Dynasty, developing the jersey that we connected with Blacksmith. That was a big connection with Blacksmith Apparel before the big deals and partnership with TNA and AEW. We're already in the mix, you know what I mean? Building out our merch, constantly pushing out our logo out in front of everybody's faces. Constantly realizing that, yeah, you have your core market here locally, but there's always a new face on the internet worldwide. Constantly push that. Tagging different creators and collaborating with different creators and promotions to push our brand, connecting with different artists to create our own customized entrance music to separate yourself and bring a more professional level for yourself. Because you got to think about copywriting and got to think about trademarking and all that stuff. Once you start to climb that ladder and you start to work more TV and you're starting to tease on that doorstep, we'll work with the major player companies. So those are things that we really took into mind: merchandise, um, visual, sound, music. Um, just even before our in-ring character work, the branding and marketing is what's going to take us to the next level, and that's what it has done. Without having a strong brand, without having a strong character, you're just going to get lost in the shuffle, especially in the year 2025, 2026, and beyond, where the digital media and social content game is king. You got to take advantage of that. And I feel like we were on top of that since day one when we first came up with this dynasty idea, and we just kept pushing it and staying consistent with it, and just bringing it in front of more and more different eyes, and just bringing the value up as we go.
Absolutely. Speaking of character, how would you describe your in-ring persona and how it fits your truth character? Do you prefer, the high flying, or would you rather like the technical mat-based wrestling?
Oh, I like my goal ultimately is to have a beautiful combination of the two. Like I said, I'm a very like astute and I very study the techers, world of sport, technical wrestling. I was always intrigued by the work of like Jonathan Gresham, Zack Sabre Jr. The list goes on. Dean Malenko, a technical craftsman, guys that are sharp in the ring and smooth like Eddie Guerrero, and in the high flying aspect of the amazing red Rey Mysterios of the world, the lucha libre that I was introduced to at a very young age watching Triple I and CMLL from when I was like 6, 7 years old, being blessed with those opportunities to do that. And also following along the growth of the ROH, early NWA TNA takeover, the independence and the growth of the independence, and seeing the a lot of these talents evolve over the years, it opened my mind that not only I can work a style that works for my size, it can transcend and translate with guys bigger than me, all different shapes and sizes that I'll be working with, which is the key thing for my in-ring skill, being of a smaller stature, being able to transcend and work with so much different diversity in the ring. So having the technical aspect and being grounded is a key aspect for me, because I want to showcase that more. Because when you see me, you're automatically expecting me to fly, but I want that to matter when I do. I don't want it to just, as soon as the bell ring, I'm flipping all over the place.
Yeah.
I want to showcase that techers. I want to showcase a technical aspect to me where you respect the ground game, you respect the fundamentals that I bring to the table. But then when I do take off, when I do fly, and I do my spiral taps, truth above all, and I'm going and about, you know what I mean? It brings value and it brings an emotional connection. Like, oh wow, yeah, now he's different. He's different.
Yeah. Do you think you have a match where you felt like best defined you as a wrestler? Maybe a match where you felt like you were just at your peak?
I think I'm still in search for that. Being straight up and honest with you, I like tag team wise, we found our motion. We're in our motion. But I still think we haven't had certain matches to really push us to the whole next level.
Yeah.
Um, I think being in the ring with guys that are working TV, I think that is the key mission for us right now. Um, whether it's guys in the States working and testing our expertise with some of the top talent and top tag teams currently in the States and the East Coast, out in Cali, out in the South, being able to travel around in very different territories to push ourselves to the test. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're yearning for now. We've been able to mix it with some of the top names locally and some of the fly-ins that are coming in, but I think it's now taken to the level to like a TV level now. Working on a TV level, working against some of the top known signed or used to be signed on TV tag teams in the game. That's a key, and individually as a talent. I think we're still yearning for that. Me personally, a goal for all of us is to get more entrenched into some more single stuff. I love scrambles. I love multi-man matches. I love bringing more of an essence and importance to the cruiserweight X division type of lifestyle. So dabbling into that and wrestling some of the best technical and high flying talent will put me to the test. And I feel like I'm still in that transitional phase. I don't think have gotten a full match currently right now that I can say um, off the top. Some have been close. For instance, for our tag team, the fresh year one, we're in our bag. That was something special for us because that's something that we were supposed to do all the way in Montreal, and it came full circle and it came to fruition. But to answer your question, I'm still on that chase.
100%. Um, what is your favorite finisher or signature spot to hit that you know for sure every single time, no matter the city, is gonna get the crowd going?
For sure, I try to protect it as much as I can. Talking to guys like Ortiz and like Cody Deaner in past shows and a lot of seminars like Evil Una and seminars and stuff like that. So the spiral tap is the biggest thing for me. It's unique. You don't really see it anymore. It's a tribute not only to AJ Styles and Amazing Red. Um, that is something that you will always remember when it comes to a show. So that's something that I'm either gonna try and save to protect, or I'm gonna go full throttle with it. So it's a standout point in a show. Our tag team maneuver, dethroner, our powerbomb stomp is another memorable and significant finisher for us as a tag team. And then I'd say I like to get in some of my submission moves that I haven't even been able to like really display yet. From my variations at octopus stretches to cross faces, um, those are some of the things I'm going to try to start to introduce more so in my matches and even more importantly in those singles matches that I do get the chance to work in.
100%. What's the short-term goal for Mikey Truth over the next 6 to 12 months, whether it's in Ontario or beyond?
Yeah, as I'm building out the plans to going into the next first quarter in 2026. So it's perfect that you asked me this. I always create micro goals alongside of our big goals. Currently, right now, it's to plan out how to attack and the approach to the new year. So for me personally, it's not only keep the pressure on the tag team division, still being an innovative tag team, and being a trademark tag team for the Canadian wrestling scene. That is like the ultimate goal for us, but also showcasing the multi-dimensional players that are in within Dynasty and reinforcing the freebird rules that you can get any combination of us and it's going to work. Um, Solo wise, getting more in the mix of some more singles matches. That's a goal for myself and Jackson collectively, all of us collectively being more intricate player when it comes to some of these singles matches where it's scrambles, etc. You know what I mean? You can throw our names in the ballot. You don't have to pigeonhole us or marginalize us in just a tag team division. Like I said, stressing that we're multi-dimensional players and we can play any role when it's time to play and it's game time. So that's the goal right there. Making a return back to London and Italy, if possible, from the connections and the relationships that was built in that short span of time, and relationships built with some of the coaches that came down from the UK, like Wild Boar and Eddie Dennis from New Wave out in the UK, the original New Wave. Building upon those reports, they were very vital in helping me get settled and get training at Hustle UK in London recently, following from our booking in Italy with Bestia Wrestling. So building that connection with the new territories that we've now debuted in, um, it's now taking advantage of the opportunities that's within that now and sinking our teeth deep into that. So whether it's for me individually or representing as the group and bringing everybody down, again, it's now time to connect these dots internationally because I'm seeing the opportunities worldwide and not just locally. And I think it's more than about time to cash in those opportunities and build those networks and continue to explore my learning experience in this game.
Absolutely. So a little bit of a long-term goal question here, but would you like to make the leap to bigger promotions and TV wrestling eventually, or are you more focused on building dominance over here first?
Definitely, I'm looking for TV opportunities. I think that's one of the main goals for all of us in the group, individually and collectively, one way or another, trying to get our foot in the door, whether it's behind the scenes or in front of the camera, working for a major TV company, one of these major playing promotions. That is the ultimate goal at the end of the day. Obviously, not turning a cold heart to the local GTA Toronto scene and Canada as a whole, still want to give back any way possible as progressing in our career. But the goal is definitely being TV ready, being ready to go, having your brand, having everything good to go. It's just getting that opportunity to shine.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And just making sure all our decks are in order for that opportunity. And like we see these signs that are there. We see that the potential is there, and it's not just a dream anymore. It can really become a reality. So it's not making that happen.
absolutely. Do you have an ideal dream match or an opponent you love to face that you haven't got to face yet?
Oh yeah, man. Are you talking about locally or just in general, like in the whole
Locally or in general?
of pro wrestling? Locally, I'm pretty sure you can even pull out some match that you want to see us in the mix with because you haven't seen that happen yet. You know what I mean? Some of these top veterans in the Ontario independent scene definitely want to mix it up with them. Outside of either tag team or the scrambles that I've been in with some of these guys, I haven't even graced outside of training. I haven't graced and wrestled these guys yet. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to now take that step. Okay, let's do it now. It's like it's been avoided for too long. Let's get this working now. So some of these notable names in the veterans in the Ontario scene for sure want to get in and mix up with them. But actual dream matches on a world scale, first off, foremost, it's a damn near like pipeline dream. But if I was ever to wrestle Amazing Red while he's still active, oh, I can retire today. um, Rey Mysterio also. There's a pipe. Those are like the top like dream matches that I have. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like please, before they call it quits, one way or another. Then obviously Leo Rush, Jonathan Gresham, Zack Sabre Jr. There's a list that goes on. There's such a big list that goes on. Um, some of the talents like Jordan Oliver, for instance, you know what I mean. Um, there's so much talent that are within GCW, within TNA, Sinner and Saint. That's another dream tag team match. Definitely want to get that off and popping with any member within Dynasty. Just definitely want to get that going. You know what I mean? Man, yeah, like there's so many, and like you got my brain racking right now. But those are some of the top matches that I definitely want to like start to put myself to the test. Where it's like, okay, you're here, like you can literally hang with some of the best talent in the world. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember speaking to Jackson back at the HWE show when I interviewed him, and he said a dream match for him in terms of a tag team would be you guys versus the Hardys, potentially
Oh
at
yeah. Oh,
House
how
of
could I
Glory.
forget? Yo, what? See, my brain was racking. The Hardy Boys, they're still active, and like recently working on the MLP show, and my Hardy being involved in our match, the Rumble match that we had. Um, he was the special enforcer, taking the time to just thank him, and still to this day, creating and carving a path for the importance of tag team wrestling. I think at any moment, being able to give flowers to these guys, and this is probably like the second or third time that I'm saying this to him because I've said it at a TNA taping, doing extra work there. When we were at Fourth Rope, I also talked to him and gave him his flowers and gave thanks. So like that's always been in the back of my mind, but it's up there like the Amazing Red and Rey Mysterio matches. Those are like the King Dream matches that were like, I'm good. The rest of the career is good. I can call it a day if I need to.
100%.
But yeah,
Um,
um, I did definitely before. There's also the Briscoes. That was another one that I always had in the back of
yeah,
my mind. You know what I mean? Definitely. From being going to independent shows and having them give hugs and blessings to my godson, I always had that deeper connection. That damn, I always wished I had that match with the Briscoes.
100%. So going a little bit like more personally to you outside of the ring, what motivates you on days when you know you're beaten up, you're bruised, you're tired? What motivates you to get out of bed and still show up to these promotions every single weekend?
That life doesn't stop. Like
Yeah,
the world's gonna move on without you. You either have the choice to settle in this despair or depression or just have this dark cloud over your head, or you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know that every day there's a new opportunity to turn life around. And we all go through things. Currently going through shit right now. You know what I mean? Like we all got these life responsibilities, and you got to find a balance. You got to know within yourself that there's a better day ahead. And whenever you hit ground zero, the only way to go is up. The only way to go is up. So just having that inner strength and um, instilling that strength in myself to always coach myself to push through, push through, push through. Um, you don't strive or find success with anything just being easy. You have to go through struggle. You have to go through hardship to write your story. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of life. So finding that acceptance, leaning into the uncomfortable issues or problem, finding those solutions, and then picking myself up to know that there's a greater day to come. That's what keeps pushing me. You know what I mean? Obviously, family. Knowing that my parents, they're immigrants, they came to this country with little to nothing, and they made something out of themselves. When my father came to Canada, late '80s, he came out here with like what 50 to 100 bucks to his pocket, and he built his own establishment, built his own legacy out here for the next generation, which is me, right? So I look back at these things, and you can count on it too. Your parents, etc. You look back at these things, you realize the sacrifices that our people have done for us, how far our people have came for us to create a platform and a foundation for us to take off. So I look back at those things and I realize and I remind myself, people have gone through so much harder. People have gone through so much worse stuff in life, and they find a way to find success and find happiness, and that's it.
100%, man. That's awesome. That's beautiful. Going back to a little bit more of wrestling, obviously this Sunday we have a huge event with Battle Arts Academy and Pro Wrestling Revolver, but we also have the Rising Star show that you mentioned earlier. What advice would you give somebody that's just starting in the Ontario scene, that's maybe trying to emulate a journey like yours?
Oh, before you even get in that ring, ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what do you want to get out of pro wrestling? Is it just for fun? Is it just a hobby? Do you want to see the world and travel? Do you want to get a contract? What is your major goal? And once you have that major goal in your mind, then let's think about these micro goals. Knowing that you need to accept failure. You're not going to know everything. You're
Yeah,
not going to know everything on first month, 6 month, a year, 5 years. There's guys that have been doing this longer than me and you have been both alive collectively and are still trying to figure it out.
yeah,
So accepting failure and being open to learn from various different sources that are better than you. That's the key thing. When you know that they have way more experience and they're way more knowledgeable than you, you soak in everything, because that will help prepare you for the future. Um, Fundamentals is key. Get your footwork, fundamentals. If you need to work on your cardio, work on your cardio, because this is gonna put you through the ringer. Accept pain. It's gonna be painful physically, mentally, and emotionally. Accept these things, and it's gonna build character. It's gonna build life skills, and be prepared for that. Look at this not just at fun and games, unless that's what you want. Unless you're doing this for fun, go ahead. But if you're taking a more serious approach at this, you want to look at it as a business model. This is something that MVP told us at Fourth Rope at Westside Gun Day. What makes somebody want to buy your T-shirt? What makes that person want to invest into you? And you have to ask yourself that question, because as you go through this industry, there's gonna be people, there's gonna be bookers, there's gonna be promoters, there's gonna be different elements in this industry that are gonna invest in you, but they're also gonna want to return an investment. And you got to remember that. If you can't commit to the return on investment, what these major players are investing into you, you're going to be lost in the sauce. You're going to end up being lost in the shuffle, and you're going to have to accept defeat, because it's going to be a very, very hard trek for you. But if you can invest in yourself first before anybody else does, invest in yourself first, invest in your training, invest in your brand, invest in your character, mic skills, you'll be good, because you've invested in you first, and nobody else can take that away from you.
100%, man. So to wrap this interview up, I got something new I'm adding to these interviews. I got some fun rapid fire questions for you just to close out the interview. So firstly, if you weren't a wrestler, what would you be doing right now?
Oh, definitely, like I'm doing on the side already. I'm already involved in community work, so still staying input and maybe on a more serious level within the city and our community outreach programming. I do after school work as well, intro to DJing as well. Um, so I definitely be back into that element of either community outreach, which I'm doing, and also entertainment event programming and event coordinating. So whether it's DJing events, curations, etc., being entrenched in that and more entrenched on the entertainment side. Like I said, I have a background with acting, with TV and film, so being more entrenched into that, I feel like that'd be another element. And I definitely still would be somewhat involved in pro wrestling in some sort of aspect. Would it be more behind the scenes? More so, you know what I mean? More adding my acting background, production background into that element as far as a creative writer, agent, etc., producer. Those are lanes I would probably be looking at outside of this.
Absolutely. Tag team or singles, which do you prefer and why?
Oh, this, bro. What you doing here? What you doing? Come on, man. What's up with that?
I had to ask.
Ah, it's hard, man. It's hard because I really fell in love with tag team wrestling. I really, really. found a new love and respect for tag team wrestling. I do love tag team wrestling, but I also want to explore some of the single stuff. You know, I'm stuck, bro. Stuck. Because like currently, I really love tag team wrestling, but
Yeah.
I'm still yearning for more single stuff. You know what I mean? I like, especially this year, I haven't had a nice balance like I used to with singles work and tag team is mostly tag team stuff. So I felt very comfortable in the tag team element of thing and loving that run. Yeah, I'm stuck. That's 50-50, bro. You stumped me, bro. You stumped me.
That's all good. I can move on to the next question.
Like, like
It's all good.
fuck.
Um, who is one Ontario wrestler you think is currently undervalued and deserves a lot more spotlight at the moment?
And I talk about my own Jackson, bro. Come on. Jackson Roy, man. Like, let's get serious now, bro.
Yeah.
You look at this guy's build. Look at like his brand. Look at what this guy can do in the ring. He's not only a technical powerhouse, he can fly, bro. And a lot of people don't like realize that this guy has hops. He's unorthodox. He's a hybrid, multi-dimensional athlete. And putting respect on his name, like guys like Jackson, guys like Sway Archer, bro, D Smith. I feel like a lot of these guys haven't really got like we haven't got a fair shot realistically, to be honest with you. Like we capitalize on the opportunities that we get and are presented to us, but like on a week to week, month to month basis, like there it's not entrenched locally. You know what I mean? Like you don't see these guys putting in the singles work and matches that they can be crafting and bringing to a whole nother level. They're not getting these opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
Just being straight up. You see a lot of matches getting booked in this scene, a lot of guys getting worked, and you're seeing a lot of matches happen over and over again. We need to start to mix this up. I don't know. I don't know if it's a threat. I don't know if afraid of the big man. I don't know what it is, but I feel like that's the change that needs to be implemented into 2026. Like locally, we need to turn it up on a singles and as a tag team level, be more active within the local scene out here consistently every other week or week after week. Yeah, it's like those guys are so talented, and people have not like you like when I mean you guys are only seeing like about 5 to 15% of what these guys can really bring to the table.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Jackson because I'm doing this series on like TikTok, Instagram, and Shorts where I spotlight at least one Ontario wrestler a week. This week it was Alexia Nicole, and a little bit of a spoiler for anybody that's intrigued in this series. The next week is going to be Jackson Roy that I spotlight because I am 100% with you. I think Jackson Roy is absolutely fantastic. If there's a guy you look at and immediately you think he should be under contract, it's Jackson Roy.
I'm very straight up and honest, and I think like that's what I'm gonna start to be. I've been very nice to be honest with you through the early part of my like pro wrestling career, just being very humble.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that has also worked against us, um, being very too humble. We need to really start to big up what we can bring to the scene, what we've done, and our true potential and talent. Because to be honest, it's not being used to full potential compared to when you see a lot of the other talent in the scene. Being straight up now,
Yeah.
like being honest with you, you're not seeing Dynasty as a team, as a unit, and as individual wrestlers being used to the full extent that we truly can be. Um, individual, like I said, Jackson Roy, he's a top star being crafted, and you're seeing him being evolved in front of your eyes. It's just a moment of time before he's a world class superstar. I'm telling you guys this. I'm telling you guys this. He can talk, he can work, and these are traits that we all hold individually as well. It's just being given those opportunities, consistent opportunities or reps to put in that work. Look at what we've been able to do in a short span of time that we've had right now with little to no opportunities being given to us. Look at what we've shaken up the scene and done. Now imagine if we were consistently, locally turning up Toronto, what we'd be doing.
100%.
And that's one of the biggest things that is itching me, kind of annoying. Um, and what we want to change going forward is like really bringing our representation to the forefront. Don't marginalize us. Don't pigeonhole us no more. We're here to take over. Just accept it.
100%. So final question I have for you, I've asked this to everybody that's been on the show. What's one thing people might not know or fans might not know about Mikey Truth outside of the ring?
hmm. Hmm. I'm a DJ. I DJ various different events. Um, like I said, community outreach. I give back as far as after school programming. I've had a hand in that. Um, uncle, uncle, sustaining the family. You know what I mean? Hey, I'll give you this one. Back when it first starting out, um, doing the HW Cruiserweight tournament. This is like my first year or so staying on the scene. My mother had a health scare where something told me during training just to go home. And this is one thing where I like to tell people, listen to your conscience, and conscience speaks to you. End up going home, and my mother suffered from multiple strokes and heart attacks and fell in my hands. Basically, almost was dying in my hands. Me and my sister ended up working together. We rushed to the hospital. God on her side. She resuscitated and came back to life. She's good now, good health now. But that was something that I was dealing with in my early years of training and starting out and wrestling in a tournament, knowing that my mom was basically almost gone. And that was something that I had to balance and deal with. Still kind of dealing with to the day because the health and balancing with that. So I think that's one of the biggest things is that like for me personally, family has been more near and dear than anything else. And being there for your people is one of the key things for me. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't know is that I've been put to the wall and been tested with life in so many different scenarios, and I still uh, pull up with a smile on my face and give back to the people and everybody around me and all my peers, right? Um, so yeah, I think that's just a key element to my story coming up. Realizing that you always have to have that balance of family and the industry, right?
100%. That's awesome, man. And I'm glad your mom is doing okay. And that really sucks. Going through that in your first year of wrestling. I remember when I had Holden Albright on the show. And we went, maybe like 20 minutes just talking about mental health. And it's one of the most important things. Just spend time with your family, spend time with your loved ones, because you really just never know sometimes. And like, there's a lot of times. Like I don't show up for a podcast or something because I'm out with my family because I find that a lot more important because you generally just don't know sometimes. So that's really awesome and beautiful that you brought that up, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's just one of those things that you realize because life's moving fast, especially in pro wrestling. Like everything's moving fast. You're always on to the next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing.
Yeah.
What's the next big booking? What's the next big show? What's the next big opportunity I can get myself into? Next big seminar. But you never really realize that there's so much. Like you don't take the time to really step back and look back and realize, yo, there's a whole nother life moving outside of pro wrestling, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes life will punch you right in the gut to remind you that. And those are some of those situations. So, yeah, I guess that's definitely something that nobody would have known. Was going through a whole tournament in my first year um, with wrestling these matches at the back of my mind that my mom could be gone by the time like I've done this match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily, God is in good hands and we're on a good path of recuperation and health. And that put my life into check and being very aware of your health as well. Anytime, you got to give thanks for the moment and your present moment that you're in.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day for joining me on this interview. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather, so I appreciate you a whole lot for joining me here.
Appreciate you. Love to see your transition and what you've been doing for the scene. Keep uplifting, keep creating a platform for us to tell our story and expanding the knowledge of Canadian pro wrestling and the Ontario independent scene. Just as much as we have the duty of putting in the work, putting on entertaining shows, and having you guys indulge in our storylines and our journey, you're doing a very powerful move right now with what you're doing, creating this platform and creating an outlet for all of us, not only for yourself, but for all of us to tell our stories, whether it's mental health, struggles, or success, or come ups. Just, I'm proud of you, man, and
I
salute,
appreciate that.
salute.
I appreciate that a lot, man. That means a lot.
No,
Hearing that
straight
out
up,
loud, man.
bro, straight up, because
Thank
like we're in a scene and we're in an industry. A lot of people don't want to be honest about giving each other their flowers. A lot of people are like in this weird competition, crab in the bucket mentality. Never been that. Never been like that. I always see the potential in a lot of the people that I come across, and since day one, seen a lot of potential in you. You've been very focused on what you want and what your vision is in life, and what you want to see your placement in this scene as far as pro wrestling and your involvement in pro wrestling. So it's beautiful to see your evolution and seeing where you are, and your trajectory is bright, bro. So keep it up.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But this has been the Kayfabe Sessions, episode 9. I have been your host, Josh. This has been Mikey Truth, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.
Diamonds up, diamonds up. Make history, leave a legacy. Yeah.